Welcome to Morning Momentum with Coffey, a podcast that's dedicated to motivating you with inspiring stories through the power of momentum. Each week, business growth leader, international speaker, trainer, coach, and author Betti Coffey sits down with a new industry leader to find out who they are, what they're doing, and how the power of momentum drives them towards success. Because when you've got momentum, stuff gets done, things happen, and you're on top of the world. You can accomplish anything. And that's what this show is all about, creating unstoppable momentum. It's Morning Momentum with Coffey. Take it away, Betti.
Welcome to Morning Momentum Podcast. I am so excited to have you here. You ready for some really great momentum today? As you all know, momentum in life. When you've got that momentum in life, you can accomplish and do anything. You can realize every part of success that you want to incorporate into your life. I'm very excited about my guest today. His name is Tim Marvel. And if there's ever a guy that really exemplifies momentum, it's Tim. Tim he's always coming up with great cutting edge strategies. See, one of the secrets to momentum is that your mind kind of never rests. Once you accomplish something, you move on to the next thing to accomplish, and then the next, and the next. And as you know, momentum is a series of successful endings, not beginnings, but endings. And so Tim Marvel, who's my guest, he has tremendous ideas, strategies. I don't think his mind ever rests. And he truly believes in excellence. He is an excellent example of unstoppable momentum. So, Tim, how you doing? And welcome to Morning Momentum with Coffey podcast.
Wow, I'm gaining momentum just listening to this.
Oh, yeah. Well, wait till you see what you're doing afterwards. I mean, you're going to be so wired. We're going to be rocking and rolling. But I want to tell my guest about you. So this is Tim Marvel, guys. Tim Marvel was a veteran he is a veteran of the United States Naval Submarine Services, and he's a professional speaker, author, and consultant. He has received what we call the CSP, Certified Speaking Professional Certification, from the National Speakers Association, which is really the highest earned designation you can get from NSA. It's hard to get, and he did it. Currently, this coming year, he is going to be the president, starting up right now, as the National Speakers Association president for this North Texas chapter. And he's going to be a fantastic, well, I'll give you a plug about that later on the show, Tim, so we can get other people to know about NSA North Texas. But he's going to be a phenomenal president, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with our chapter this year. In addition, he has over 40 years of sales, management, and consulting experience. He is the co-founder of Simply Smart, and you're going to love hearing about Simply Smart. It's a training and what is it? Onboarding delivery system, right?
That's correct.
So, and he's just starting this out. It's one of numerous things he has invented and created, and it's just very exciting. It's really state of the art. Tim believes, I think his number one passion is in meeting people. He loves to meet people. He's a firm believer in family first. He enjoys traveling with his wonderful wife, Rocky. And like I said, he loves meeting people. So welcome to Morning Momentum Podcast, Tim. I'm excited to have you.
Well, thanks for having me. And I'm extremely excited to be here representing Simply Smart with Mark Harold, my partner, and myself.
Okay, great, good. So let's, before we get into Simply Smart, let's talk about momentum. When you think of the word momentum, what do you think? What do you think about momentum?
Moving forward every day, just in tiny tweaks and whatever you do, just to continue to move forward. And I know it's kind of like paddling a canoe. I know if I put my canoe in the water and I paddle as hard as I can, go in the right direction, I'm going to get somewhere.
That's true. You know, when I think about momentum, I started getting my feet wet in working and thinking about momentum when I started giving keynotes and I developed the Communicating with Horsepower program. And I thought when I was preparing for your podcast, I thought, oh, he's going to love this because so much of your background has been in the automobile industry, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
A lot of lessons.
So Tim, I got a question for you. Do you own a Bugatti Veyron?
No, I do not.
Oh, bummer. You were going to be my best friend if you said yes.
I know, then you'd be asking for a ride and getting pictures. I get it.
But, it's one of the keynotes that I do. It always starts off with, so, Mary, what's under your hood? John, what's under your hood? Tim, what's under your hood? And then behind me flips on a picture of the Bugatti Veyron. And I go on to tell my audience, this is one of the fastest cars on the road today. It goes 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. It's built like you would an airplane in parts. It will go through an entire tank of gas in less than 10 minutes. Let's see, each tire on that car is $3,000. Total price tag on the car is $3 million. And I always ask my audience, I'm going to ask you this, what's its horsepower? What do you think the horsepower is, Tim, on that Bugatti Veyron?
1,200.
1,200? Well, that's a pretty close guess. Considering like a big SUV is like 200, 250 horsepower.
Right.
Yeah, you're pretty darn close. That Bugatti Veyron horsepower is 1,500 horsepower. And so I go on and I tell my audiences, is that truly the meaning of horsepower? Is that multi-million-dollar machine truly horsepower? Or, Mr. Tim Marvel, is what you have under your hood true horsepower? Because I think that is what you have. It's the same kind of momentum. It's the same kind of horsepower. So thanks for letting me use that example today. But I had to do that because you've been so long in the auto industry. I had to pull the Bugatti story on you. I had to.
I understand.
Okay, so let's talk about Simply Smart Training. Tell me about Simply Smart Training. What's it all about?
Well, I'm going to tell you why we developed it first, and then I'll tell you a little bit how long it took, because a lot of people think things like this are overnight successes, and I don't think there are any true overnight successes. So whether it's a song or whatever, when you hear that singer the first time and they get their number one hit, they could have been out singing in clubs for 20 years. So, but, the whole deal was Simply Smart. We started over a year ago with this idea. Now, put behind it another 5 years of running different types of pilots to see what would work with online training, because that's the direction I initially started. And I realized after time that there were a couple of things I needed to address. Having been a consultant, when I started consulting more than 25 years ago, you had to work almost 6 days a week. And I remember after about the first 3 years of going from dealership to dealership across the country, one day I'd be in one store, maybe in Idaho, and the next day I might be in Fargo, and the next day I might be in Houston. Do that 5 days a week for about 3 years and have your spouse look at you and say, I don't even know you anymore because I was gone so much.
Yeah.
So I kept that in the back of my mind. It's always been an issue because you could have really good people if you're able to balance that work life. The other part that I had to look at was the dealerships we've worked in over the years. And I find it funny because they only do two things in car dealerships. They only fix cars and sell them. It's the only things that they do to make money. So why is it so different that every dealership that I would go into wanted to do it a different way? Now, does that mean the steps of the sale are different? But it really boiled down to people. So we could have created a process and sold our process, but we thought that was the wrong way to go. Before we ever did anything, we spent several months putting ideas on paper. So we decided we wanted to deliver their own training. If you've been a dealer for 25 years, you already know how to sell cars and fix cars.
Right.
You don't need me to come in with my own process and tell you need to do business my way. What we needed to do was find a way to do business their way. And that's really what we've done. So we've designed the whole idea to accomplish one thing, and that's to assist businesses in training and developing the people in a more effective, more efficient manner. Now, we've included onboarding on this because we think that that's a missed art. We think that so many people are lost during the onboarding period. And let's bring up millennials, not picking on them. What I'm going to say is this. They want to feel included. And sometimes when we onboard somebody, we sign their personal paperwork and then they're off and running. There's your desk, there's the bathroom, take a break at noon, and we never check back on them. But what if you could onboard your people for 30, 60, 90, 180 days, where you constantly went back and reminded them and helped them know how important they were to you as a company?
That's when they'd really learn, right? I mean, that's when you make that commitment, and that's when they're making the commitment and they're really truly learning what they're supposed to know.
So we incorporated the whole thought of the training, which a lot of dealers already have some sort of training. And so there's learning management systems that some dealers store that in. The problem is it's not tailored to their content. It's not their delivery system. We wanted to create something that would be theirs, that we could badge with their name. Every store could badge their name, their brand, and basically they don't have to change in order to meet us. We wanted to change to meet them.
So if I've got this right, so it doesn't matter what kind of car you sell. It could be a Toyota, it could be a Lexus, it could be a Mercedes, it could be a Volkswagen, whatever, Honda, whatever. And you're customizing this training, Simply Training or Simply Smart, for that particular location, right?
Absolutely.
So you're not wow. So not only are you customizing it for the type of car and whatever their training might be, but also for the dealership and their philosophy and what they need to do, right?
And that's just the first part.
Wow.
We really feel like we're cutting edge because in the old days, 20 years ago, everybody would go in and create their own process and say, you need to buy this process. Here's that meeting in a box. Here you go.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really collect the subjective results. So part of training, especially in the auto industry, gets into word tracks and so on, like how do you approach people, empathy, right, sympathy, apathy, and how those interact. We created an app as part of our platform that collects that subjective material. So when you go through your training, not only do you answer your ABC questions, but you also have to show that you can really do it in a way that it's acceptable. It's not like, hey, are you here? It's more like, hey, welcome to the dealership. My name is Tim. And they go through the process. And when you hear their words tone, you can tell if they really get it or not.
I understand that. I think that is really cutting edge. I love that idea. And then the Simply Smart can not just be in the future, it can also just not be for car dealerships or the car industry, automobile industry. It can go into other kinds of industries and organizations, right?
Well, let me add one more thing to this. So we've created this not only for your computer, but we've also created it for you to do on your app. So if you're a high-achieving individual and you want to go home and you want to toy around with this, you pull your smartphone out, view the video, answer your assessment questions. It still gets all pushed back for your manager to review. You video yourself, the video gets reviewed before you move forward, but it gives everybody that accountability that we lose so many times in online training.
I love that. And when you do that, you're creating momentum for your employee or your associate or whoever's doing this. You're creating that momentum, and I love that. So it's just not the whole product is momentum, but you continue to create it from within and whoever uses it, right?
Yes,
I love that.
And it leads to consistency. When you get that consistent message out, I've said this for years, a bad process is better than no process. So even if your process isn't the best in the world, if you deliver your process, you're going to be so far ahead of the next group, even if the process has some holes.
And the system, is it flexible enough so that when organizations change their processes, change their procedures, it can be tweaked and it can be changed and updated as companies grow and need to update?
It's as simple as an email. Now, The other thing that you said was, could we use this in other organizations?
Right. Who else could use this? Who else could benefit from this?
Well, really, any organization in sales, and we've actually created this so we could spend the onboarding off even to any organization. The whole idea is if we have a professional in that industry and we map out their process and create their content, it's their content. That's the great part of this. It's all about the way they want to do business, not me going. So whether you got into some kind of a industrial atmosphere or whatever it is, everything we do is a process. So if we can map the process, then we can create that content for them. So,
is it fun to take, Tim? I mean, would Betti enjoy doing this? Would it be driving Betti crazy? Or is it a fun program that's going to keep me going? It's going to keep my momentum going. It's going to keep my mojo going. And it's going to be, oh, yeah, I accomplished that. I feel good. Now I'm going to move on to the next. Is it fun?
Well, I think it is. For me, I really enjoy it. Now, here's one of the aspects that I thought was so important is so many training companies go in and they train you on the process. Here's A, B, C, D. Here's how you do it.
Which really never sinks in, when you do that. It really, I mean, you get this fire hose, but it never really sinks in until later.
Well, and that's what we're trying to eliminate is if I can train your managers to continue to deliver the same message over and over and over, not only the process training, but one of the things I thought was really important is the EQ portion, your interpersonal skills, your soft skills.
You got that in there. That's great.
So we have soft skills in there. We have a leadership training. We have process training for sales and service. So we can tailor this to virtually any business. We've created the onboarding portion that we can branch that off. We just really wanted to get our feet really a good foundation in the auto industry because that's our expertise.
Got it. So that's fascinating. I think that's going to be exciting. And also, especially now in the time of COVID, people can do this from home. They can proceed how fast they want to go with it. So it's an excellent application for people that are there at the center, or if they are actually at home working virtually, right? It goes wherever.
That's correct.
Love that. Let me ask you a question, because one of the things I mentioned in your bio was one of the things that you hold incredibly important to you is the balance between work and family. And I know you. I've worked with you in the past, been part of NSA with you, National Speakers Association. So, and you're really good at that. Talk to me about how you balance work and family and still excel in both.
I've always been amazed at people like the Bransons and the Darren Hardys and those guys in the world, that they're able to balance all these companies and have all these things going on. So something that was a little bit of a challenge to me when I left corporate world about 3 years ago, I have my real estate license, so I help my wife with real estate. I do some consulting. I travel there. I've written some books. I've been involved deeply with NSA, which I really enjoy. But I also never forget the relationship I have with my wife, understanding I probably wouldn't do any of it if it were not for her. I also have my mother with us, and we care for her, and she's been with us 11 years.
That's wonderful.
But I think that I get energy from all these things going on. And I have so many people go, well, why do you do all that? And I'll be honest, hitting my 60s, I'm thinking about maybe trying to slow down some things. But right now, the more I do, the more energy I get. We talked about biking. I'd like to do a 100-mile bike ride this year, but I have to put enough time in. So you get that whole idea of where do I have enough time to do this and this and this and this. To just do one really well it's full time.
You are such an excellent example. You truly are an excellent example of momentum, no matter what age or level or where you're at in life, because I don't see you, Mr. Tim Marvel, ever really slowing down, whether it's on a bike run or a bike race or achieving something. You've achieved so much in your life and in your interpersonal relationships. But I don't see that ever slowing down. You're going to be 122 years old, and you're still going to be developing those relationships. You're still going to have your goals and your achievements out there. I know that. What is it about you that makes you such a driver in that area? I mean, you don't drive like that, but you drive yourself to excellence and to growth. Why are you like that?
I think it came at an early age for me. When my dad, I remember telling my dad I was going to move out on my own when I was 17 and I was still in school, and he was a little confused why I would do that. And I just remember going, I know there was more. I know there's more than what I could see. And I just know if I kept going the right direction, and as a young guy, I had a lot of people really kind of lead me in the right direction. Who knows where I had been had not people, I can name a few people, Herb Polk, Ted Knopfsinger was a coach of mine for 7 or 8 years, my wrestling coaches, my friends that I had that were smarter than I was at the time, and would say, why would you do that? Even when I was in the military, having a few people put their arm around my shoulder and go, what are you thinking? So, I think it's so important that kids have mentors to help them through those rough stages, because you never know when you're going to get that never give up moment. And I know when mine came.
Yeah.
I twisted my ankle on a run when I was in like 8th grade, and I was a horrible athlete. Now, most people don't know that about me because they think I do all these things. I do bike rides and triathlons and all that.
Yeah.
But I was so bad when I started running that I finally beat a guy and he quit. That's how bad I was. So, but the whole idea was I twisted my ankle and I went up and I had my cleats in my hand and I was trying to hand them to my coach, and he looked at me and he said, I never thought you were a quitter. And that changed everything for me, because I said, you know what? I'm not. And I'm still not.
You're still not. You never will be. You absolutely never will be. The other thing that I think is incredibly important when we're thinking about momentum in life and what we go through is the ability to see the future, to see what needs to happen, what it needs to look like. So to have that vision and that clarity is very, very important. And then to have the resilience that no matter what takes place as you are achieving that goal, you can handle. As an example, as you know, and as our audience knows, we're here in the middle of COVID. We have no idea when it's going to end. We have no idea how tough it's about to become or when we're going to get the vaccination. A lot of people can't handle that unknown thing. And you are walking into being the president of one of the top chapters of National Speakers Association in the country. And that's a true challenge and an accomplishment. But you're also in the age of COVID. So not only are you having to look at the vision, maintain your goals, because I have no doubt you're going to achieve those goals, but also be able to, with clarity, lead an entire organization of very professional people. And that takes a very special type of resilience, fortitude, clarity, and resilience. I love that. I love that. So what is it about you? I mean, I know you're looking forward to this year and it's going to be fantastic. So what are you pulling in from inside to make that happen? Because a lot of people could not do this. So what are you doing?
So I find it really funny. So if you ask my wife, she's going to tell you, she's just going to say 2 words, Forrest Gump.
What, you carry around chocolates?
I carry around boxes of chocolates. No, I mean, it was funny. We were watching, it actually was on rerun on TV last week. And she actually said that. And it was funny because when I started speaking, I used Forrest Gump as an example of my life, because here's the deal. You can bog yourself down with all these things that you don't have. Mm-hmm. But when I think of Forrest Gump and I think of how his mother impacted him and how he thought, like he didn't sit and dwell on the things he didn't have or couldn't do.
Nope.
He just did. When he could run, he ran. And when he could do things, when he played ping pong, he could play ping pong. And it didn't matter what was going on. It was so I take that title. I have several different names that people called me recently, but I take that one with pride because I really think that's the way my life was. I've always struggled with the idea of, well, I wasn't smart enough, my grammar's not good enough to write a book, or, all those things we tell ourselves are a bunch of lies. And so, I have 7 books.
Yep.
When I wanted to figure out how to do video, I recorded 600 videos because I figured if you do something 600 times, you got to get better. So again, Forrest Gump, what do? You just continue to do what you need to do to move forward. So I'm really excited. Simply Smart is the results of years of trying different things. I have no doubt it's going to be successful, and I think it can cross over in industries. And we've created the onboarding tool to be able to do other things. And it was all with the thought of how do we do this different? How do we step away from the meeting in a box that's only my way? Having done some consulting recently and tried to tell people this is the best way, this is the way we've done it for 100 years. Does that make it the best way?
Nope.
So
not anymore.
So we're excited. So, just batten down the hatches because we're coming.
Okay. So if people want to find out more about Simply Smart, how do they contact you? I know that those of you that are watching us, you'll have Tim's contact information on the lower screen. But for our listeners, the people that are just listening to us by audio, how can they contact you?
The easiest way is simplysmarttraining.org. Spell it all out, simplysmarttraining.org. And that gives you some insight in 3 buckets of our that you can go ahead and dive into. And that will also have our phone numbers and emails.
Okay, so if somebody wants to just call you, what's your phone number?
214-801-0903.
Perfect. Say it one more time, just in case somebody's writing quick.
Okay, 214-801-0903.
Thank you, Tim. Tim, you are an absolute master. You're the marvel. You're the marvel. I just thought of that. You are the marvel of momentum and horsepower, which is a truly great thing to be called. You possess momentum. You possess horsepower in your heart. It's every part of your being. So I wish you the best on Simply Smart. I really, truly do. I already know it's going to be phenomenally successful. And I'm anxious to find out more about it. So thank you, Tim. And for my great, wonderful guest out there, thank you for joining our podcast today. When you've got the right mindset, like Tim, and you've got momentum, which we all can create our momentum, great things happen. So mindset and momentum equals achievement. And Tim, you're a great example of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's a privilege, pleasure, and an honor to have you. And everyone, I will see you next time on Morning Momentum with Coffee. Take care and live your day with great momentum. See you later.
Thanks for listening to Morning Momentum with Coffee. Momentum matters more than strength. Your persistence will always win. Drive change, ignite cultures, and accelerate growth with your own personal momentum. To find out more about Betti, follow her on Facebook at Betti Coffey Presents for more inspiring stories just like this one. If you liked what you heard, leave us a rating and review. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to Morning Momentum with Coffee on your favorite podcasting platform. And remember, the greater the momentum, the harder it is to stop. Momentum creates motivation. Motivation creates opportunity. And opportunity creates results. See you next time.